the back of this truck. I warned you twice and now I'm riding you up. I said, officer, what have I done? He smiled and said, boy, you're having too much fun. Too much fun, what's that mean? It's like too much money. There's no such thing. It's like a girl too pretty, but too much class. Being too lucky, a car too fast. No matter what they say.
Hi everyone, I'm Rathje from the University of Texas, and I'm here with Brady from Utah State University. And we're all here to interview the geo legend Kenneth H. Stokoe II from the University of Texas at Austin, the Jenny C. and Milton T. Graves Chair in Engineering. As we all know, Ken has had a long and distinguished career, and what he is most well known for are in situ measurements of shear wave velocity, and in the lab measuring the nonlinear soil properties, two of the most important input parameters for any seismic analysis. And it's really not an overstatement to say that he has had a massive impact in earthquake engineering through his work. He really has bridged the gap between geophysics and engineering, and that is really what has made him such a distinguished researcher. Now, Ken started his bachelor's degree at the University of Michigan and graduated with a degree in civil engineering in 1966. He continued on for a master's in 1967 and finished his PhD in 1972. After leaving Michigan, he spent 2 years at the University of Massachusetts, and then in 1973, he came here to the University of Texas at Austin. And we just celebrated 50 years of Ken Stokoe at UT Austin, and we had a really nice celebration of that this fall. Now, over those 50 plus years and more, because he's not retired yet, he's supervised. He's supervised 51 PhD students and 93 master's students, all of whom have done a master's thesis. He has so many accomplishments. He was elected to the National Academy of Engineering in 1997. He was, and he has his 25-year NAE pin right here. He was the EERI Distinguished Lecturer in 2004. He received the Seed Medal from ASCE in 2010, the Terzaghi Lecturer in 2011, and he became a distinguished member of ASCE in 2016.
It means you have friends.
And he has lots of friends. He's a lot of fun. And Ken, we're going to just start by talking about, Brady and I each want to just tell a short story about how we met you. So I met Ken Stokoe in 1997. I was still a graduate student at Berkeley. I had applied for the position here at UT Austin, and there was a liquefaction workshop in San Francisco that I attended, and I was introduced to Ken. He probably doesn't even remember this. And after the workshop, we went out and had a drink, and we probably talked for 2 hours just about geotechnical engineering.
Was
university.
it me talk for 2 hours? Or
maybe,
did I talk?
Yeah, maybe you talked for 2 hours. But I do know what I came away what I came away with from that meeting was this guy is an amazing researcher, a really fun and friendly guy, and man, do I want to go to the University of Texas at Austin. So I'm so happy I got the faculty position.
So are we.
Brady.
Okay, so I first met Professor Stokoe when I was a master's student at Utah State University, and I had traveled to Turkey to do some shear wave velocity profiling with my advisor, who was Dr. Jim Bay, another former Professor Stokoe student. So I went to Turkey, and that's where I actually met Ken and Ellen. And let me say, this was after the Kocaeli Turkey earthquake, and this was in the summer of 2000. And the thing that I remember most was Professor Stokoe got pulled over by the police in Turkey 3 times in one day, in 24 hours.
I don't remember that at all.
I
can tell the truth, but
I
are you
can name
sure?
them all.
Oh my God.
Going into Ataturk Airport because the analyzer didn't show up. You got pulled over. I was in a different car that did not get pulled over. trying to do a U-turn on the bridge over the Bosphorus.
Did I?
You led that effort. Yes. And then going through a toll booth on the way to Adapazari at night. Three
Okay.
times
24 hours.
in 24 hours.
Is this gonna continue this way?
All right, we'll see you. We have some good stories to tell you about Ken Stokoe
Holy.
that he may not want you to
I
know
know.
about.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
was a lot of fun.
And one thing we do believe in, there's no such thing as too much fun. True. You knew it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
That's a country western song, by the way.
Okay, well, let's get back on track.
Yes.
Our first question for you as a
Okay.
Geo legend is, tell us how you got interested or started in civil engineering. You grew up in Grand Rapids. You ended up at the University of Michigan. We've already discussed that, but how did that happen, and how did you get into civil engineering as a major?
Boy, that's a good question, because I'm not even sure I know the answer. But I mean, I had to write as a senior in high school 3 professions that I would like to do. Okay, and okay, I did. So the first one, I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy and be a jet pilot. With my eyes and everything, that couldn't happen. The second one was that I wanted to build bridges. So be an engineer, I guess a civil engineer. The third one now I already forgot about.
Forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't important.
Okay, but I didn't. Yeah, that dropped by the wayside.
That's how you ended up at Michigan.
That's how I ended
Civil
up
engineering.
in civil engineering.
Why
And-
Michigan?
Because it was the best institution we could afford. That's very simple.
Yeah.
I mean, the state school
Right.
that seems to be the best in that area, that's what I went to.
Well,
My
yeah.
dad was a machinist in a facility that his uncle, my great uncle, invented. And so, we just grew up in Grand Rapids, and
That's something the three of us all have in common, is that none of our parents went to college. And yet here we are as faculty members,
that
which
right?
is pretty amazing.
yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me, I would become a faculty member even as a graduate student.
Yes.
I don't think I would have said yes. So yeah, that's just how it works.
So you came to Michigan, you got your bachelor's degree, and for most of us who, if your parents haven't gone to college, getting the bachelor's is the key, and you just want to head out after that. But yet you stayed for a master's and PhD. So how did you decide to go to graduate school, and how did you get involved with Dr. Richard at
Okay,
Michigan?
very good. But I'm still going to tell them the third one, a banker.
Oh, you
You're gonna be
remembered.
That was what I was interested in, being a banker, because my parents had friends and the bankers made a lot of money.
Well,
Okay.
you married an accountant, so I guess it's close.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I paid for an accountant.
well, she became an accountant
Oh,
eventually.
yeah. Oh, 2 master's degrees. Oh, yeah. Library science and accounting. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's the last question. All right. Okay, back to why did you go to graduate school, and how'd you get involved with Dr. Richard?
I think it just felt reasonable to try to continue on, because I was doing okay,
Mm-hmm.
to try to continue on and just give me better chances.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, right after that, I was married. And so as a graduate student, I was a married graduate student. I met my wife. I was in a fraternity, maybe did U-turns in places. And my wife was an Alpha Phi who was near the fraternity, and that's how we met. But
Who
that
was a member
nice.
of your fraternity?
Who was a member of my fraternity?
Weren't there some famous people?
Well, only 2, maybe the fraternity people. One of my fraternity brothers was a cover of Sports Illustrated. His face was, yeah. Michigan was good in basketball then. We had the captain of the wrestling team. I wrestled. He taught me a few things, and I lost in the last round. He couldn't get me enough. But and it was really nice for my parents too, because in the fraternity before I was married, they could get top seats. They sat with the football players because the captain of the football team was also one of my fraternity brothers. But the fraternity, just for the record, so you guys be careful, had almost or did have a 3-point average.
GPA.
Oh yeah, average GPA. So I mean, these were good fellows. It was very nice. Keep in touch with them too.
Do you remember when you first met Dr. Richard?
Yes. Not really when I first met him, but when I went to continue on, I was talking to a couple of my friends who were a little bit ahead of me and said, well, Professor Richard is a department chairman and he's known in geotechnical engineering and so forth, so you might go talk to him. So I went to talk to Professor Richard, and he asked me, you know, can you work with your hands? And he asked some questions like that.
That was a machinist.
Well, mechanically, I was okay. But yeah, and the thing that helped me the most maybe was that at that time, as I understood, the National Science Foundation gave the department chairmans NSF scholarships to then hand out. Well, lo and behold, Professor Stokoe got one. So, but what I had to do is I was the worker bee for two people that you may know their names. I suspect you do. One was Dick Woods, and the other is Vince Dranovich. So that I started out the most working with Vince and running his resonant column tests. And so he'd be analyzing data up above where we were, and I would be down in the basement, but a big base.
A big basement.
Trucks could drive in there and all that sort of stuff. So, but I would be down there running the resonant column tests and so forth. And in fact, if you go to Vince Dranovich's dissertation, you'll find that there's a KSR, Ken Stokoe replacement. And that was supposed to be automated. No way could it replace me, but whatever. We won't go any further. No. But what I said was true. But then I would be okay. Then I was moved over to help Dick Woods, and Dick Woods at that time was, and this is surface waves. Dick Woods at that time was looking at trenches and how they would filter surface waves, you know, to maybe protect different areas. Professor Richard was very interested in that. So, I was a worker bee that was setting stuff out there, and he was in the trailer, you know, adjusting the different frequencies and all that sort of stuff. So the short wavelengths, the longer wavelengths, no, something's getting under there, but not right away, and blah, blah, blah. So that started me understanding surface waves. So that was a huge help to me.
So
I didn't know it was,
as
but
part of your master's degree, you gained experience doing laboratory testing. And field testing.
Yep.
And then that continued on for your PhD, at least.
See, I'm not very smart. I just keep following the same thing. I don't know what happened.
Some years later, Ken Stokoe is still doing laboratory testing and field testing. But you've made it.
Oh my God.
Just not everybody says that, but okay. No, but it was wonderful experience. Yeah.
So one thing
both of the guys were very nice.
Yeah.
One thing I want to establish too is kind of your parents in the field. So you worked for Professor Richard. His advisor was, as I understand, Professor Newmark. Correct. And that was at the University of Illinois.
Oh yeah. Okay. And Professor Richard's dad was a faculty member there too.
Oh.
In structural.
Yes, in structurals.
It's very interesting.
So and so. Okay, are you going to ask me this question that you were going to that we may have discussed a little?
You just ask your own question.
Well, okay, so Professor Richard was a little worried about me taking only classes at the University of Michigan. And so he said, you really need, now I had one daughter already, and he said, you know, you really need to go to another university. Okay, for a semester. Okay. Well, it should be the University of Illinois. Okay. And we'll get it all set up. So, and I tried to get this program set up here, but have had no success yet. But in the Big Ten, you can apply to go to another university for a semester. And I don't know if it's only graduate school, but at any rate. So I filled out the forms at the University of Michigan. Well, first, Professor Richard had to make sure, and Newmark, so that was handled. No big deal. But I filled out all the forms and I paid Michigan in-state tuition because I was an in-stater. And I then went to Illinois. And we lived in married student housing, which was about 500 feet or 700 feet downwind from the cow barns, just for the record. So it wasn't necessarily, but our daughter loved to go see the cows. Oh my gosh, yes. But that was a really special opportunity for me.
You were there for how long?
One semester.
One semester.
Yeah, and I took 4 classes.
Do you remember the 4 classes?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Let me see. I had the first one from Peck, Ralph Peck. The second one from a bugger who also taught here later on, Roy Olson. Another one from Don Deere, RQD. The fourth one was also a Peck class, but Herb Eiler taught it much of the time. So, oh yeah, that scared me. I mean, 4 classes, you know, a daughter and a wife and a daughter and all this sort of stuff. But it really worked out well. And, you know, we just had Bill Hansmeyer here speaking. Yeah. We're buds.
Right.
We were all in class. Oh yeah. So it was so nice. So I'm trying to I would like us to have this in our arrangement here at the universities, and it's just benefits the students.
Yeah.
It's really great.
I don't understand it. Yeah, that they don't think about.
So I bet very few people know the actual topic of your PhD dissertation. What was it?
Yeah, I don't know. Tell me. It was a bunch of stuff. Didn't it had the seismic testing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you have to get the seismic testing.
Exactly. So tell everyone kind of how, like, the story.
You have triggered, you triggered the story. Thank you very much. But no, yeah. So Professor Richard called me in sometime and said, you know, you got to think about what you're going to do for your dissertation. And I said, yep. And he said, well, what do you think about? I said, well, we learned about all this theory for dynamically loaded machine foundations. I'd like to see how well it works. Not a good idea. But okay, you know, because, okay, that's good. Yeah, go ahead. And so, okay, I think, well, I've got to find some machines, and I found 2 machines, one pumping like this for increasing gas pressure, and another one, I forget, that may have been the same way, but a horizontal one, in different buildings around the North Campus, which is where we were located. And I started doing calculations. I got all the stuff from the manufacturer. I started doing calculations. You could get any number you wanted depending on the stiffness of the soil. So I'm screwed. I mean, well, I can't prove anything. So I said, okay, well, then I think I have to measure somehow stiffness under the foundations. Well, if you talk to some unnamed seismologists and so forth, they'll tell you, you can't measure right beneath concrete in soil. They happen to be wrong, but that's okay. And so Stokoe was too dumb to believe him, I guess. I don't know. But so got, the university was pretty nice to me, but stopped me after two. Drilling holes on either end of like the machine. Let's say this table is a machine foundation. I'd come over here a foot or so and drill a hole in the concrete. Then the thing that was very nice working for both Dick and Vince, I learned how to use a lathe and a mill in the machine shop, because I made parts for Vince's resonant column. Not very many, so I don't want to say Vince did all the resonant column, but I mean, had to fix up some things, made parts to get hot car hollow specimens from the Gulf of Mexico and stuff a little bit for Dick. But that way I made a clamp that here's a hole and it's two pieces and it's got feet that stick out, and I can put it down, but then push it out and put this down and push it out. And so I can take and have a Shelby tube and a rod, and I can jack it down in there, get a sample. Okay, I can do a resin column test and create a hole. Now the foundations were maybe 4 or 5 feet thick. And so obviously I'm just getting soil. I don't need to get a whole lot of samples on the side. But once I start getting below, I need to really know what the material below it's like. But I would use that as not necessarily a solid cylinder at the bottom of the rods, but I started also with the Shelby tube. The Shelby tube generated this very nice waveform.
After tapping.
Yeah, tapping on the rods, sending the compression wave down, and you don't want it to move forward. It just creates that motion, huh? And holy mackerel, I'm right below the concrete foundation, and I'm getting what looks like a shear wave of a reasonable velocity. And the reason is you got barrel soft material, you create shearing in it, and yes, the seismologist, and I should, a ray tracer. A ray tracer would have this go up at some angle, depending on the speed, and hit the foundation, go through the foundation, and come back out. Well, that happens. The trouble is with their drawing is here it's big in the soil, relatively speaking. Well, soil pushing against concrete, the concrete doesn't even care, right? So there's a tiny wave that goes along here. Now, that tiny wave, when it comes out of the concrete, doesn't get big because it doesn't have big motion here. So I was running tests right beneath the foundation that were perfect. And at that point, everybody I talked to thought it wouldn't happen.
So you were running cross hole right on the soil, right underneath the machine
foundation, and we could go down like that.
Stress level and everything.
Right stress level. Then I could run the calculations. Then I had no trouble.
Does it work?
Yes. The biggest, yes, it does work. But the biggest unknown still is on the forces. The forces and stuff, and definitely if you're way up the exciting, if the frequency of the machine and stuff is way off of the excitation that might be created, for amplification due to that soil stiffness, it wasn't a big problem. But they didn't let me keep doing it. The university didn't let me keep doing it. But it was enough. Yeah, it was enough. So no, I mean, it was, it's good luck. I mean, all things came together. It's good luck. I love good luck.
Absolutely.
But it just shows you how you learned a little bit here, you learned a little bit there, then you had a problem you wanted to solve here, and you took information you learned from. I mean, you always want to be
looking for an easier problem, though. I didn't think I was going to have. I'm telling you, I didn't think.
Clearly, you're working in an area that's difficult because you've worked in it for 50 plus years. So.
No, but I didn't know it'd be. But I didn't know I'd be that lucky either. Yeah. I'm not going to name the people who told me it wouldn't work, but that's okay.
So you've been here at UT for 50 years. There's kind of a fun story about how you ended up here at UT instead of spending your career at the University of Massachusetts.
I have never applied for a job. Now, that's because of Professor Richard, not me. That's for sure. No, he did stuff with Whitman and Richard and Whitman on our towers that we would use for incoming jets and stuff, radar, and how they would move. So Massachusetts wanted someone, University of Massachusetts wanted someone that would be in that area. And Whitman was at MIT at the time. And when I was at MIT, I'd go and visit Bob Whitman. Very nice person. And so they wanted someone in that area of Professor Richard. So they came and they said, do you have someone? Oh, he's graduating. Okay, come and interview. So I did. And it seemed okay to me, and my wife seemed to really like it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that made it even better. So we went to Massachusetts without doing anything else. Then during that time at Massachusetts, I guess Roy Olson got hired by the University of Texas. And maybe since I caught something that he screwed up on an exam, he remembered my name.
From the University of Illinois.
I shouldn't have said that. Yes, I shouldn't have said that. I let that cat out of the bag. I wasn't gonna. No, but yeah, he and I always liked Roy Olson. I mean, Roy Olson was boom, 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 but he taught you a lot, and if you needed to ask questions, his office was open all the time and so forth. So, and he had very high standards. So that he got me here.
As I recall, he called Lynn first,
Oh, Kelly.
or at least got Lynn on the phone first. Why don't you briefly tell about what happened?
See, just for the record, he's asked me some of these before, and I'm forgetting parts of the stories.
No, I've heard some of these stories over the course of 20 years or so.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Olson called my wife and said they were interested in stuff, and my wife said, we're not interested, huh? That didn't even faze Roy Olson. No problem to him though. What the partner says, that's where we're going. But so yeah.
I think that's hilarious. Lynn said, no,
we're not going.
Maybe not even going to tell Ken. And Roy eventually gets in touch.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
That would have been dialing on those old phones.
Oh, absolutely. I know those
A
well.
lot of the young people
They go
watching
click,
this
click, click, click.
won't
Maybe
know.
they had like the keyboard, the operator.
In.
Well, I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, no.
We digress.
But so when you got here in the 70s, I mean, Roy Olson was here. Steve
Yeah.
Wright was here, or
Yeah,
just started,
yeah.
right?
Yes, yes,
Lyman Reese,
yes,
Hudson Matlock.
yes.
What was it like to come into this group?
It was interesting. Now Matlock was his own group,
Okay.
but no, we got along well together, and another nice guy, a smart guy, Bob Dunham, was here too, from Berkeley. So Steve Wright and Bob Dunham were friends.
Mhm.
From Berkeley. But no, it was a really electric situation where there was money that you could get from the university too. And so, yeah, if you were lucky enough, let's say, and it really allowed you to move forward, and we were getting good students. So that worked out well. I mean, it just all clicked together, and obviously I'm still here.
Yeah.
But no, the support, if you would go like a digital oscilloscope or something like this, things that came up when I would go, or a spectrum analyzer, and you would go to the right people, at times you'd get money for that. And so you didn't have to get that from the National Science Foundation. So that was really fortunate, a luxury, or whatever you want to call it. It's great luck.
So when you showed up at Texas, as I understand, you were given some money, a startup package. A lot of young faculty will be familiar with that term, startup package. And
However,
Yeah.
I didn't tell you this.
okay,
I wasn't in the geotechnical group.
think I. Okay.
Now that you
Did you-
say that, I
did
think
you
I
say-
remember
did-
that.
did I
So,
say
no,
that?
well,
Yeah.
maybe some dinner long in the past. So
Okay.
what were you?
I was in the mechanics and materials group. And I taught the computer class.
Oh, I do remember.
That's scary.
This can't be true.
I got good ratings. That was because of Bob. That
Use
was
the
because of Bob
cards.
Dunham. That's because, yes, we did. You absolutely, that's what you had. I threw all my money out, and I'm really not happy I did.
Brad, this is where you need to show the picture with him and the current computer screen in his office that Brady's gonna send you.
I took one this
Oh
morning.
my gosh! But no, but it was a good group. Hudson Matlock ran it, so that's
Hudson Matlock was,
the head of the mechanics.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so I taught CE 311K, the
Computing,
lab course,
yeah.
well, 311K, sorry,
Oh,
but
the
also the
material-
lab course. Yeah, the
Okay,
materials course.
Okay,
I taught those two courses, but I had replaced, the black man that died here and now come up with the name.
Harry,
Perry
Urban,
Casa-
no,
yeah,
Urban Perry.
Perry Castaneda.
The library, that's how I remember
That's right.
it.
So, and it was really sad. I replaced him. I met his wife and daughters and so forth. He graduated from the University of Texas in this department, and they hired him. And he was doing a very good job. And I think it was cancer. I don't know.
Passed away early.
I'm going to tell one more story if I can.
We'll see.
Okay.
That's
So
what it is.
Only one?
Well, yeah, in this area, in this zone that we're in.
Oh, wait, how did you get from mechanics and materials to geotech?
With time, Olson got me over.
Okay, because
Yeah.
usually people don't change
So
officially.
Olson was maybe sly, like he recruited you to come here, knowing he was gonna pull you into geotech eventually.
I sort of can't say what.
Don't worry,
No.
most of the people who would be offended are probably not
So-
with us anymore.
Yeah, that's really true. It's true. So I remember going to CE 311, not 311K, 301, whatever the
Yeah.
mechanics was. And I would sit there because I was going to be the lecturer to the next class, maybe the next day, huh? And so Professor Matlock would lecture. And golly, I had trouble following what he was saying, huh? And so one day I said, Hudson, man, that's sort of confusing. He said, yeah, I like to make a lot of smoke and see who comes out, and then I hire them. And I'm going, wait a minute, we're supposed to be teachers, and so too many
It's
stories.
kind of the old sink and swim,
Let's
sink or
just keep
swim.
this, yeah,
approach,
that's right,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
So what equipment did you build or acquire when you got here to the University of Texas that kind of helped get you started in developing?
Probably the first one was the digital oscilloscope.
Okay.
That was a really big deal because you could take really good records, you could expand them and all that sort of stuff. Huh? You weren't having to photograph.
So literally
Screen.
before that, you had an analog oscilloscope.
Oh yeah, and you photograph.
Waves were going past on a screen and
And
you
you
could
had
take
to-
pictures.
Photograph, it wasn't a phone photograph.
Had to be
It was,
developed.
it had to be
No,
developed,
no, it
the
had-
film had
no,
to be
you
developed.
You pulled it out, you then do, and then you're ready for the next one. Oh, no.
Wait,
no,
you
yeah.
developed your own film too?
Yeah,
It's not
well,
like you
no,
took it
it's a
down the
Kodak
code.
film they
Yeah.
had, no, yeah, but you
But
did.
you had to put
had
it in the water
Yeah,
and
you
the
pulled it out of
chemicals
this-
and,
No,
Oh.
they had a little sponge and it went over the.
but the chemicals were in the sponge,
yeah.
I guess, and just,
Yeah.
wow.
So
And-
you were
oh,
taking
yeah. And
pictures
I
of
threw all
waves
this
at
away. Yeah.
1,500 meters per second.
Yeah. And because now you got a really good digital, sorry, you got a really good, that was not a digital skill. That was a regular.
Right.
Yeah,
But you
And-
got a digital oscilloscope.
yeah, later. But originally you were taking pictures like mad.
That's
Oh, yeah.
great.
And you were
Awesome.
get your ruler out and
Measure
oh my
time.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so what about,
These kids have it so easy.
They
today.
do.
so one of the things you're well known for is the quote unquote Stokoe device. Tell us what the Stokoe device is and how you came up with it.
Now, is the Stokoe device a resonant column device?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stokoe type resonant column.
Well, after running all of Drenovich's tests, I could see the shortcomings of the device because it was the first one. Jack Hall built earlier ones. Jack Hall, and I should cite Jack Hall at Michigan, very brilliant fellow. So Richard Hall and Woods, and he could come up with lots of good ideas. Probably his idea, but for me, you couldn't get enough power out of it. You had to keep jacking the thing up and down as it consolidated. So the bottom wasn't as maybe as solid as you'd like it because it's supposed to be fixed and free and so forth. So there were some things that bothered me about it, but I had enough experience to really see what I could maybe improve. And so the first year I was here, I was just drawing machine drawings and sending them to machine shop, and they were paying for it.
Yeah.
So I saw it because I hadn't mentioned that before.
Yeah.
No, the department was really good. And that was a huge help to me, huge help. And then people came and wanted to buy the design and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't make a lot of money, but I certainly made some money off it.
But when did you combine the torsional shear with the resonant column for your RCTF?
When I wanted to see what frequency had to do on the material. So that all you got to do is dial down the frequency.
Right?
However, I'm advertising right now. We now do hollow rock specimens in the resonant column torsional shear. You've never seen this before, as far as I know, because I had never seen it before. And that's the actual size of the specimen. It's just made out of aluminum so we can look at it, because I wouldn't let you test one of my hollow rock specimens. Nope. Okay, so yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Okay, one last question along these lines.
You know what? If you daydream a lot, maybe these things happen. You know?
You gotta be, sometimes there's a little luck involved, but a lot of hard work and a lot of ingenuity.
But when you're having fun with people around you, good things happen.
SASW, spectral analysis of surface waves.
That was a combination of Woods making me measure all these surface waves going past.
So you were using the steady state Rayleigh method.
Yeah. Okay. But then and so
you would set up a shaker and move a receiver until things came into phase.
Well, at that time we could, with the digital oscilloscope too, you could have 2 sensors out there and be measuring, or 3 sensors out there and get the delta T between it. Yeah. And so that was quite easy. Yeah. The spectrum analyzer was a lot better.
Yeah, because then you could do it. You could get the time delay as a function of frequency.
Exactly. And that had to do, I have to mention, Roy was really helpful in the lab and all that sort of stuff. And then when they hired Jose Rosette, that was, fantastic.
So Jose was helping you with the inversion.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a huge help.
Interesting.
And again, he got here because I was walking out of maybe this building.
Yeah.
And there's all the fact that the big cheeses were in there in a room and they were talking, and I walked by and I came back and said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We're trying to find someone in mechanics and materials, a numerical modeler. Do you know anybody?" "Yes, Jose Rosette."
Where was Jose?
At MIT still, I think. Yeah. I mean, but he's another guy that, if you interact with, you just love him. I mean, he's so outgoing and so.
And you traveled the world with him and his wife. I mean,
that's
your families traveled together.
His wife's at our house at 7 o'clock tonight.
Hopefully, we'll end this before.
No problem.
Yeah. Should we talk about mobile shakers?
I think that's good.
Kind of on some of these technical topics. You're very well known for talking about dinosaurs sometimes, like T-Rex. Tell us about T-Rex. Tell us how you first got interested in using large mobile shakers and how that developed and expanded into Nice and then Neary. But when did you first think, I want to use one of those large mobile shaker trucks?
That's a good question. I honestly, I'm gonna think just a little bit, but I know when I got here, I also was in pavement testing. And that was a big deal. And they had their falling weight deflectometer,
Right.
which you could also use for SASW.
Yeah. Drop weight.
And
big drop
yep,
weight.
the drop weight. And so it was just obvious to me that, you know, a vibroseis, which I had seen before and so forth, if you would roll that down the road, that's what got me the vibroseis.
Right.
If you would roll it down the road and you had an array of 1 hertz sensors or whatever, you are evaluating every crack.
Yeah.
You're evaluating things just so continuously. And that's how I got the first shaker.
So you got
First
involved with
vibroseis.
mobile shakers for pavement testing.
Yep.
And that's when you and Jim Bay
Mm-hmm.
at the time developed the rolling dynamic deflectometer.
Absolutely
I
right.
think maybe a lot of people in the strict geotech community might not even know about that
Yeah.
side of you, the pavement testing, and the fact that you developed this continuously rolling, continuous pavement profile.
You know, and the thing is, I made a new one. So I'm skipping way ahead. I made a much better one. And, well, I gotta be careful. Let's just say the highway department decided that the Aggies should be the people running it.
Mm.
And so maybe it was taken away from me, but that's politics. That's okay. I survived, but yeah, I have all the mobile shakers I think I need right now.
But if you think about it, I remember when we went to Turkey in 2000 and we didn't have any mobile shakers.
Yeah.
We couldn't be shipping them around the world like you do now. Our big thing was we got to find a bulldozer. We'd have the bulldozer driver drive forward and drive back, and drive forward and drive back. And, you know, would generate lower frequencies, but you couldn't control the frequencies and all of that. So was it at that same time?
Because that was the same. I had been with the vibroseis earlier in the pavements, huh?
Yeah.
And so that was a natural. Yeah, and I don't know who told me about, you know, T-Rex and Liquidator, which is a company that's now out of business.
Right.
But I don't know who, but someone. Golly, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. So I owe another to somebody.
Was it Clark?
I don't.
Clark Wilson, who was involved with me in the beginning.
And it could have been, or it might have been, we might have found it online.
Because had you been working with the shakers with like Lawrence Berkeley Lab and stuff?
No.
When did you meet Cecil then? Is that before Nice or after Nice started?
Golly, I forget.
These are questions we didn't prep him for, so.
As I recall, let me see if this
Okay,
helps,
go ahead.
and you correct me if I'm wrong. As I recall, you were involved in the Yucca Mountain project.
For 10 years.
And for some reason, Lawrence Berkeley
Okay,
got vibroseis trucks
Yeah, I thought it was the LDL.
on the Nevada test site. Or something.
They did. Oh, and you know the other part of that too, don't you?
Well, I don't know what part.
That's part
Yeah.
of the story.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's how I met Cecil. And when I went to hire him, so we'll go around that little. When I went to hire him, once we started getting our stuff, I asked the Berkeley people if I could first.
Right.
And I said, if you let me hire him, he can work for you when you want him to work for you.
Right.
And they were very nice about it. But yeah, we were out there running the vibe, but not as good as this stuff that we have.
That was the genesis in your mind. So when the Nice solicitation came out, you had already
We were ready, weren't we?
We were.
You had been working with vibroseis trucks, and you were like,
Yeah.
we need these large mobile shakers. And really what happened is you ended up designing, building, requisitioning a couple of very unique shaker trucks that really don't exist other places.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I think a lot of good research is out there to be done with these shaker trucks, huh? And but the firms are going down. So let me say something about Yucca Mountain, if I could. Particularly like working in the tunnels, but we won't go there. We won't discuss that.
Oh, we might.
No, we can't say certain things. But you know, it was so fun out there, and so T-Rex, let's say, or Liquidator would go out, and we'd be looking down 1,000 feet or something like that, and running all day. And we'd come back, and the coyotes are following the truck because NSF. We said if we could use vegetable oil or whatever, and not
environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
perfect.
hydraulic
You got
fluid.
it.
Yep,
That's
yep,
exactly
yep.
right. Huh? And so you had to park in a certain area. You know, there's plastic under the thing. There was gravel on top. We'd park there, and the next morning, Liquidator was spotless. There wasn't
Those
any.
coyotes.
Oh,
really.
they licked everything off.
They
And
love that
T-Rex.
thing.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. So, but yeah. So we had a lot of fun out there.
But
I
that
think.
also reminds me that, I mean, you've done so much work on critical facilities like Yucca Mountain, nuclear, around the world, helping doing shear wave velocity testing, and then also doing lab testing too for the nonlinear properties. How did you first get involved in some of those consulting type projects?
In fact, that's a very good question, and it's other people that got me involved. So it's not something that I was able to drum up, but making presentations at conferences and things like that, I think other people get ideas, and so there's probably a list of 20 people I owe. Well.
Yeah, he's got a list.
Sure,
Don't worry.
sure,
Don't go to
sure,
the list yet.
we can go to this list.
But there is one person on that list who was a big supporter and said, if you need shear wave velocity measurements, go to Ken Stokoe.
Do you know?
I never met him.
Okay, Harry Seed.
Yeah.
Harry Seed was so nice to me. I remember, and I really appreciated it. And I really acted, but I remember he had me out there once, for a short course, huh? And I was lecturing. Leismer, I'm sure, helped get me out there. But I was lecturing, and Harry was in the front row, and he was sort of going, he's making some noise, and apparently, and I didn't know this, and I was getting nervous. It was like Harry didn't like my talk. He isn't liking my talk. I don't know what's going on, And I learned later on that he would get nervous before he gave a talk, and that might be his reaction. So try to remain calm when things don't seem so good for you, because maybe they're really good. No, I owe people, so many people.
We got a question related to that. Don't worry.
We have been helpful to me.
So another thing I know you love, you love field work. You love to travel the world.
Yes.
You've been almost everywhere, pretty close.
Well, let me just say, there's a couple countries I'll never go in.
Okay. Did you have?
Don't tell that.
Yeah, let's not go there.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah. So there's one. So what are there any of your favorite? Let's do it the other way. Not the places you don't want to go to. What are some of your? Yeah, all the time.
I didn't have to say anything. So one of the people that I owe so much to is Mike Yamokowski, and I cried when he died a few months ago.
Yeah. Had a close relationship with him, and so many opportunities over there. He was nice to my family. Oh my gosh, yeah. It was wonderful. Yeah. We've lost some very nice people recently. Yeah. So, but I know you have a very interesting travel experience that perhaps none of us have experienced. Okay. This could be a little time, not too much time, but we'll do something motions too. Okay. So yeah, I would fly around, and oftentimes you'd end up going Austin to Dallas, because that's when you connect with all the big flights. And I was going, and I don't know, we were going on some project, and I think was Sohail Nazarian too, one of my early students. Sohail. So I was back here in the plane, because I didn't book early,
And Sohail's up here, but all in coach, huh? And we take off on DFW, and I think it's more, it wasn't a 737, it was a bigger plane. At any rate, we take off, okay, we're going down the runway, no problem. And then all of a sudden, the pilot slams on the brakes because a plane had gone down 4 or 5 months earlier with the flaps in the wrong place, and they thought the flaps might be in the wrong place, so he slams on the brakes. But slamming on the brakes after you're going 150 miles an hour or something doesn't do much. I don't know what we were doing, but we went off the end of that runway. The second you go off the end of that runway, the nose gear is taken out. Boom, it's gone. And everything, we're on the biggest roller coaster ride you can imagine. And everything is coming out of the overhead. Everything is coming out of the overhead. No, they didn't hold anything in. And so we finally come to a stop, and we're all alive still, you know,
Good.
and we haven't seen any smoke yet. So, okay. And the cabin attendants, stewardesses,
Told you, flight attendant.
they holler, leave everything, you know, take off your shoes. And they blow the doors because they got, you know, they hit the thing and it blows the door right off the plane.
The slides came out.
Oh, yeah, the stuff and everything, huh? And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I'm not taking off my shoes. I know what's out there. This is in the middle of the summer. We're going to have, our feet are going to be wrecked. And I've got a briefcase down there with maybe $2,000 in it. I'm not leaving that.
Where were you going with $2,000 in your
I have
briefcase?
money when I've got a graduate student I got to pay for.
Well, that's
too.
it. I mean, credit cards were not a huge
Oh,
thing all the time. You
that's
gotta
right.
pay, yeah.
So I've got my briefcase like this, and I'm walking towards the wing. Now, I could have gone that way to the tail, but I didn't like that. I don't know why I did, but I just didn't.
I always
feel-
tell you, your nearest exit might be behind you.
That's right. I do know that. So I got out on the wing, and you know, they tell you to take off your shoes because of women wearing heels.
Yeah, you know me, I wear a lot of high
Yeah,
heels,
that's right.
No, good. Then you wouldn't have to take off your shoes.
right?
So, but I'm holding my briefcase and I'm standing on the wing, and I'm wrong on this decision or assumption, and I'm thinking I'm going to blow up at any moment because this is full of
Right.
gasoline, huh? Well, it's not. It wouldn't do that, I've been told. Okay, fine. So I'm standing there, but I'm still standing on the wing, and I'm quite worried. And this, not old, but a lady doesn't want to seem to jump down the slide. So I assisted her with my briefcase. and
Just to be clear, he pushed her onto the slide.
Assisted.
Yeah.
and of course, she was wearing a dress and everything, and things come up when they go down the slide, and they stick.
I forgot that part.
Stick. Right. Okay. So I jump on that. I run into her. I bump her down the slide.
Assisted her.
Down the slide.
Okay. And I jump out of the chute. I grab my briefcase. I start running. Oh, crap. I got to go back. So I go back and I about pull her arm out. But come on. We're still alive. We got to get away from here. And so I get her out of there and get her stuff and give it to her. And I said, I've done my duty and take off. No, but I mean, come on. So I go around the plane, and on the hill over here is Sohail, and Sohail was a chain smoker. And Sohail is over there, and he's looking at these. We were going to Germany. Okay, that's right. We're going to Germany because these Germans were lighting up their cigarettes, and the cabin attendants are standing there, and Sohail turns to me and said, "Can I smoke?" I said, "What are you talking about? You can't smoke." And well, they're smoking. Okay, so I go over to the cabin attendants and I said, "Look, those guys are smoking." So they made them
Next
put
to
up
a crashed plane.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
it was not.
And the
This
fire
was-
department wasn't there yet. Because the
was
fire
not a
department
plane
doesn't
crash,
know
though.
you're gonna crash.
Just to be clear, this is not a plane crash, right? What was it called?
By my,
An aborted takeoff. You told me that it's
Mhm.
officially an aborted takeoff.
yeah.
That's what
well,
they told
Look
you.
it up,
If you were
people.
on-
Let's look it up.
EFW
Aborted takeoff.
19.
yeah.
We don't know. But yeah, 80, it's still
Who
hell.
knows?
That's the,
But they made it put their cigarettes out. The fire truck finally gets there.
yep.
You know, they're there in their super duper suits. It was pretty nifty. And they're doing all the foam everywhere, huh? And so then the buses, I mean, we're standing out in the 45 minutes in the sun
Mhm.
in the middle of the day. And no one's ready for a crash.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you know, so the buses finally get there and they take us back. Okay.
Did you know that 10 or 15 years later, you would be on DFW runway doing RDD testing?
No. But we've done it like three
Continuous
times.
payment?
That's
We've done
right.
it three
Right.
times.
Right.
We did the whole, we did every slab in the Colorado and Denver
Ah,
and so forth. Yeah. And then Atlanta
Yeah.
before I gave up the RD.
but you didn't crash in Atlanta. You didn't
Right.
crash in
So, but no, but they
buses.
they take you back to this room that they have, huh? And the room is probably 100 feet long, 75 feet long, and there are phones all along there. Yeah, phones. No, there are phones on the wall all along there, and they get you in there and they say you can call any place, your loved one, any place in the world, huh? Okay, well, I don't have to call very far, so I get in line, and they, you know, okay, well, wait a minute. So the guy ahead of me has got a particular garb on, and I said, "Hey, who are you going to call?" He was a priest, and I'm saying, "Who are you going to call?" No,
God, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute, and you can't make these stories up. And
I
so
don't remember this part of the story.
Okay,
Keep going.
it was a day of the Preakness. He says to me, "I'm calling my bookie. I feel so lucky." You can't make this up, huh? And he wasn't lucky.
He didn't win.
He didn't win anything.
He used all his luck
Yeah,
on the
Thank you
tarmac.
for your luck.
Yeah,
You're using it up.
Oh my God, I mean, how many people have actually been in a plane crash?
Oh,
That's pretty
okay,
crazy.
and the other thing, and just to go one more step to tell you. So when the buses came, we went up the runway we went off of. We tore up the pavement. I mean, like this much of pavement. You could see where the wheels were. I mean, the wheels were jammed shut. But you know, with all the wire and stuff in the wheels, we tore up the runway.
Wow.
It was amazing to me. I'm going, holy mackerel. I mean, it was a serious business.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a nice experience.
So let me divert the conversation very slightly. When
How's our
people-
time?
We're doing
Okay,
okay.
good.
So we need to move along.
Okay.
But this is a good question, I think. When people think of Professor Stokoe, I think a lot of people think of the distinguished silver beard.
Oh, and I think we should stop right there.
Oh no.
No,
I like the distinguished silver
the
beard.
distinguished silver beard. I mean, that's like a
Yeah.
trademark of
Yeah.
Professor Stokoe, I would say.
It wasn't at the start.
And he had a
And
beard.
Professor
I mean,
Richard
everybody
did not
has
like
beards.
the black beard.
Also, Professor Richard didn't like
Did not
Oh.
like
had
the
a beard.
black beard.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Because now it's
'Cause
so
I knew you were going to ask that. I
it's
heard.
so popular. So many people have beards now. But you were a trendsetter.
No, but
Just didn't want to shave.
well, that's true too. But yeah, it's easier when it's white. Yeah, I think it
Oh,
I
really?
think it looks nicer and so forth. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think I looked a bit like a criminal when it was all black.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all black. I mean, wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I know Dick Woods told me that Professor Richard didn't like.
So
the
he
black
never
beard.
told you that.
Interesting.
No.
So when was the last time you shaved your beard? Approximately, or for what purpose?
Oh, like
And
you
if you
don't
can't
know.
remember-
Yeah, we know.
I happen to
We
know.
reminded
What?
him, but he
Well, you want me to tell you?
Okay.
Yucca Mountain.
tunnel.
Remember?
No, I forgot.
So
Oh.
I'm not honest.
I will prompt him.
Yeah.
When we were doing testing at Yucca Mountain in the tunnel, they wouldn't let you go in without having a respirator that would seal. And they said it can't seal around your beard. And so the deal was, if you want to go in the tunnel to do SASW,
Shave.
you had to shave.
I forgot all about that.
I have a picture.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Do you?
He's gonna find it, and Brad's gonna put it up right now. Was that when you were a
I was a
graduate
graduate student,
Okay,
yeah.
so
So
2004,
you came to
2005.
pick me up at my house here
Okay.
in Austin, where I was living,
Okay.
and we were going to the airport together. And before we left my front yard area, I asked my wife to take a picture of us. And so I have
No
a picture
kidding.
of you and I standing together,
No kidding.
and you do not have a beard. That's the only time I've ever seen you without a beard.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a hard time remembering
That would have
What
been
it-
about 2005,
like
2004.
closer to the middle of your PhD
Mhm.
towards the end.
Yeah.
But what I remember was thinking how good you looked without the beard, and I remember encouraging you to keep it shaved. but
Really?
As soon as you
Really?
could shave it back off.
No, I do like a beard.
That's,
I know.
it's
I
your
know.
face, so it's your
Yep,
decision.
yep.
But
You know, and one thing I must say, you can be successful, let's say, but to be optimum and happy and so forth, you have to have nice colleagues and nice graduate students. And boy, we've been so lucky here. Yeah, we've been so lucky.
well, that's a good segue to the next question, because you've already said several times so many people have influenced you positively. So, give us your top 5, top 10, and there's really a top 50, just to be clear.
Okay, so for me, big impact senior professors. So
Okay.
I've done that. Of course, Professor Richard. Harry C.
Yep.
is my second. Bob Whitman was always so nice to me. Professor Mike Yamakowski was just super. Professor Hall was
Mhm.
really good in knowledge and so forth. And of course,
Mm.
so I'm talking about senior professors,
Yeah.
not young people.
Senior to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's pretty senior.
and colleagues like Steve Wright, Alan Rathje, Priscilla Nelson, Roy Olson, and Jose Rosette. I put that on here, but Jose and Roy Olson, big impact professors and colleagues. They're the first two there,
Yeah.
outside the group, outside the general group. Les Yaud was great to me, and Albert Chen at USGS. Dick Woods, Vince Dranovich, because of me working for them, they gave me good education, even if they didn't know it, and I was just the worker bee. So that was nice. Ed Idris has been nice to me. John Leismer, Ivan Long, Walt Silva, Ricardo Dobry. I was just over there honoring him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carlos Santamarina, Ed Cavazangian's been great. Mike Lewis, George Gazetas, and we'll stop there. But I apologize to anybody I haven't named that I should have.
But it just shows you the relationships you've built and friendships you've made, technically and non-technically.
Well,
it's a
it's a
50-year
good thing
career.
I didn't insult all these people, or I wouldn't be here.
Well, yeah.
No, but they were so nice. And Harry Seed was really important because, he would tell the Berkeley people to hire me for years. And I told you this story. I like this so much because I like to be teased too. So where did I say we were? On the one of the famous places anyway. And we're running cross-hole tests. And by the way, and it got screwed up too because they told us the wrong size and we couldn't get our equipment down. Okay.
For the boreholes.
Yeah. Okay. And so I look out across the field, and let's say a block and a half to 2 blocks away, I see this rather rotund person saying things that I can't really understand because he's not quite close enough, but just hopping along straight at me, And pretty soon, when he gets maybe within a couple hundred feet, Stokoe, we should have hired the Japanese to do this. is John Leismer. Leismer would always give me the berries. I tell you, no. But I mean, I dawned on me who it was before because did you go to his stamp collection talks and so forth?
No.
Okay, yeah. But John Leismer.
Oh, yeah, he was retired by the time I was at Berkeley. So.
But I don't. Yeah. Professor Richard just thought the world of John Leismer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was so special. And that's nice.
So do you think we should ask him about graduate students?
I've been so lucky.
Well,
I won't.
Clearly.
Yeah.
But what advice do you have for graduate students to be successful?
Be happy. Daydream a lot about your work. Don't worry about making a mistake or two. Just try to advance the field.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I mean, so many people are afraid to make mistakes, and
I just am not discussing my mistakes if I don't have to, but you have time.
One of my mistakes as your PhD student, I'm going to remind you of it. I ruined about, I don't know if it was $15,000 or $20,000 worth of MEMS accelerometers due to electrostatic discharge. And
what happened?
That was when I was making liquefaction sensors to push in the ground for in situ liquefaction testing. And we decided instead of using geophones that we would use MEMS accelerometers so we could track tilt. This is pretty early on in terms, it was a great idea. The manufacturer didn't tell me that these were sensitive to electrostatic discharge. And so I didn't ground myself when I was soldering all of the connections.
Did I get upset?
Not at all.
Didn't I?
You had so much money, it was. No. But coming to your office to tell you that,
oh my goodness,
so bad.
Not easy.
Yeah, but you feel
But no, you did not yell at me. You told me that mistakes happened and we moved forward.
Yep.
And I appreciate that.
I'm happy I did that.
You did.
Yeah. So one thing that we know you love is your family, your wife, Lynn. You've got your daughters, Susan and Emily. You've got your 4 grandchildren. So tell us a little bit about them and some of the fun things you like to do with them.
Well, we love now, we're going to Susan's house in Tulsa, Oklahoma for Thanksgiving. Because Emily's house got pretty damaged by water, freezing pipes. So she can't have us for a while. But we do love to go on to vacation together. And so, which costs the grandparents quite a bit of money. But one of our favorite places to go is Kauai. And we like to go to Kauai because there are not a lot of people.
Right.
Because when the Kauaians saw one big hotel go up that was like 12 stories or whatever, they said nothing taller than the tallest palm tree, which is basically 4 stories. So there's nothing taller than that's that one tall building. And the other thing that I like, and I think this is only fair because we like to be fair, and that is the Kauaians and on the island there, if you build something, close to the beach or whatever, it's not yours. There are no private beaches. And where we stay in the Marriott timeshare, there's a walkway to the beach on that side. Not that you can't come through the middle. There's a walkway to the beach on this side, and there are parking areas for cars. So the people that don't live there and so forth. Now, it doesn't detract from anything, but everybody gets to use. And it's fun. It's also fun at times to see people walk on water when there might be a little bit like this. And you see stuff like that. But the grandchildren have so much fun. And it's a lot of fun watching fun.
Yep. And he loves Hawaii.
I do.
Um,
That's probably growing up in Grand Rapids. I mean, and we would just go to a small cottage on a lake, and my uncle might give us a 3 horsepower motor, and I would start the motor. I'd get the because it's a rowboat. I'd get the rowboat going, and I could have it be sort of straight ahead, but I'd walk to the front of the boat. And if I lean like this, I'd turn like that. If I lean like this, I'd turn like. So I'd be hollering at the people at the shore, and I'm driving around in the front of the boat. No, yeah.
Showing off. Showboating.
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. No such thing as too much fun.
but tell finishing up, because you just showed us some pictures from this a relatively recent trip where you took your grandkids. Just Grandpa, or otherwise known as Dampa,
Yep.
and the 4 grandkids.
Yeah, that was one of the recent times we were in Kauai, they took a vote, unbeknownst to me, and my wife couldn't really travel that far, so that's why it was just me. But they voted, the 4 grandchildren voted for Dampa to take them to Australia. And so we were there a week, and you're right, that's when I got COVID. But
I didn't say that.
no, but no problem. But I mean, I very much like going to Australia too.
Yeah.
Have we been to Australia together?
We've flown through together.
Yeah.
You got me into the business class lounge in Qantas.
That's pretty nice.
Oh,
I mean, it was, yeah.
so but
Thank you, Ken.
but you're very welcome. Thank you for all you've done.
Yeah.
But being around young people is fun, and that's one of our nice things about our job too. It can be not so much fun at times, but certainly, that's great. It's great being around people who are generally optimistic.
Well, let me tell you one thing that I have noticed about you from the beginning over the years. It's nearly impossible to get Ken to give up the check at a restaurant. Ken Stokoe is one of the most generous people that I've met, and I have been out to dinner with you and so many people, and no matter who we're with, Ken Stokoe's paying the bill.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we have accounts and so forth, so.
I know, but not everyone is like that.
Right.
And I appreciate it. I can't tell you how many times you've bought me dinner all over the world.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, I love going all over the world, and it's fun to take people all over the world. I mean, that's that makes me happy.
Yep.
It's pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's nice.
For-
But having good graduate students, by the way, make me look good. So they probably figure out a lot of the stuff, and I get too much credit. But I'm not complaining.
So what do you see as the future of geotechnical engineering? Where are we going? What's going to be on the radar in the future for geotechnical?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think, like for us and the things we work in, more non-invasive 3D imaging that we can do is important. And the thing we don't do well is damping measurements. So we're working on them. We got a helical file. We're trying hard to get some damping measurements in situ. And so the more we can characterize the in situ environment for us, I think the better off we'll be, for all kinds of reasons. But one of the biggest, if there's a really big thing out there for me that I haven't been able to do well, is in situ damping measurements. And but boy, I'm waving my hands too wildly, yes. But if you can put stiffness and damping and the frequency dependency of each in together, you'll identify everything. You'll identify defects and all kinds of things too. So, I mean, there's still a real big future there. and a real important one.
Well, thank you, Ken, for taking this time to chat with us today. I think we did a pretty good job. But
You guys made me look good. Thank you.
It's easy. It's easy
It's fun.
and fun. And one thing I want to mention is that, having been here now for almost 26 years, and the fact is our group has changed by more than 2/3 of the group. And what has maintained is the collegiality. We all want to come to work. We all like each other. We work together. And I think that's driven by the culture that's been here,
Yeah.
that you maintained as being, a senior member of our group. And I very much appreciate that you're here every day. I come to
You're
work.
very welcome.
And all the
Happy
days that
to
don't
have
come to
you.
work, he's still here too.
Well, my wife wants to
Saturdays,
get me
too.
out of the house. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And I think we need to give you a hug.
Oh,
Thank you.
I will take it. Thank you very much.
Get that
All
up.
right. Wait. He's
Thank
gonna-
you.
Never had too much fun.
Thank
It's
you.
the real deal here.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hook 'em. There you go. Hook 'em. There we go.
Too much fun, what's that mean? It's like too much money. No such thing as like a girl too pretty with too much class. Being too lucky, a car too fast. No matter what they say I've done, well, I ain't never had too much fun. No matter what they say I've done, well, I ain't never had too much fun. Give me the reins and let me run, 'cause I ain't never had too much fun.
So here's the deal, Ken. Ellen made a Stokoe bingo card.
Okay.
And
How did I do?
It was all things that we thought you were going to say
No.
during the interview, and I did not get a bingo. I got
yeah.
one away in two different directions, and I'm sitting here. The one that I missed in one direction was liquefaction. You went an hour and 20 minutes without
And you
saying
didn't say
liquefaction.
Or
And the
wavelength.
other,
He didn't say wavelength. I couldn't believe
no,
it.
he did.
Didn't I say wait
Oh,
for
he
it just
didn't. You're
now?
right. But the other direction, the one that was
Here,
missing
hold
was.
on. I printed it out so he could see. He didn't
The
say
other-
this.
So
Go
I
ahead.
got.
Right. More than
Here's what I
once.
got. In one direction, I had T-Rex. You can't have too much fun. Surface waves, and oh my gosh. And then the other direction that I
you said
almost
bugger,
got.
but you didn't say bunk.
Yep.
You said bugger.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So the other direction that I almost got was liquidator, RCTS. You
Wait,
can't
hold on.
have too much
Liquid-
fun.
Yep. He didn't
And
say
seismic. He didn't
Dispersion?
say dispersion.
right.
Didn't I say it right at the end?
Well, no, but
change
wait.
with frequency. I mean,
Oh,
right,
he
I
did-
didn't use that word.
And SASW. Well, did he say?
SASW, Harry C.
No,
We'll say
Brady
those, yeah.
said it, but he didn't. He said
I
here
told-
I had in
I
the
told
last
Brad,
column I
only
had.
if he says it, because
No,
we could say it, and if we said it,
In-
it doesn't count.
so
'cause
in
we
the
know
in
it.
the last row,
That's
the
right.
last row I had Harry Seed. Oh my gosh, and Jose Rossett.
Yeah.
Rosette. So wait, we got
Yeah.
frequency and Neary. Did you-
Crosshold.
Yeah, frequency. He got. I didn't
Crosshold.
hear him say Neary.
Oh, you know what?
Sure,
We
said
I-
Sherway.
I-
he said Neary.
We
you're
had,
right.
and then in the top row I had T-Rex and damping, and that's it.
Right. He didn't say shear
Shear
wave velocity.
Yeah.
Not a single time.
He probably said VS or something.
Yeah, that's.
And we probably said
But-
shear wave velocity.
But
Yeah.
I was.
Oh, this is
Well, I
awesome.
just said
So
wave velocity.
some-
and
somehow you need
Right.
to like take a screenshot of your X'd out bingo and see how.
Well,
show it.
this little interchange here is going all the way at the end. So you notice the red light's still on, so we're going.
Right.